I was astounded and appalled to find out the Chinese built a road from Kingston, one side of the island, to the other side of the island. And in exchange for the roads that they built, the Jamaican government gave the Chinese total control over the toll money that will be made by people using the Northwest or East-West Highway. Why would you give a foreign power complete monetary control of the tolls on this road that you know half of Jamaica gonna be using? You're talking millions of dollars of revenue you're giving to the yellow man just because he built the road. They were building at that time 2 schools, and they were bringing Chinese educators over to help the Jamaican people educate black children. They built the Children's Hospital, which is supposed to be largely staffed with Chinese. They also gave the Chinese total control of all tourism on both sides of that highway that goes from one side of the island to the other. I was also told that they gave the Chinese the right to drill in natural rainforests on the Jamaican territory for Chinese exploitation. And they also purchased, if I'm not mistaken, the port, the main port of Jamaica.
Right, they own the port.
Is owned by the Chinese. If another race owns your port, that means they control what's coming in. They control what's going out. What about the drugs? What about the guns? What about the COVID? You don't know what them people bringing in. Chinese don't care about black folks. Go to China. Go to China and see how they treat black people in China. And the Chinese know what they're doing. The problem we have as African people is we tend to think anybody who's not white is a friend of ours. Nobody is our friend, not the Arab, not the Chinese, not the Latino, except the African Latinos who identify with us, not the East Indians, not the Native Americans. We don't have friends. Black people don't have no friends. It's when the time for revolution comes, because there will be a second revolution because you got to get rid of the Chinese. You're gonna have to fight 10 times harder. When you fought to get the white man out in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 50s, it was a little easier because he don't have the numerical strength. The white man had to use other black people in his armies to fight blacks. They don't have enough. China is the most populous country on the planet Earth. They have 1 billion people. Don't get me wrong, African people. We're 2 billion. We're the biggest. The problem is most of us identify something other than black, which reduces our numbers. I'm not African, I'm Latino. I'm not African, I'm Samoan. You follow? The second revolution for African independence against Chinese neocolonialism 2.0 is going to be 10 times as bloody, 10 times as long, and it's going to require the sacrifice of 10 times as many people. We will not be able to throw them out of Africa and throw them out of the Caribbean as easily as we did the whites. And the whites wasn't easy. That was a hell of a war. So just multiply that by 100, and that's what we're going to have to deal with the Chinese.